Hi, friend. Welcome back to the Raising Wild Hearts podcast. So today's conversation was recorded live at Rise and Flourish, and it's guest hosted by my dear friend, Danielle Neufeld. Don't worry, you're in great hands. Danielle and her husband, Greg, host a podcast that I love called The Most Important Thing. It's all about family leadership and building culture at home. Yes, please. It's very intentional, very inspiring, and you can listen wherever you get your podcast or tmitpod.com. And I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check it out. This conversation that Danielle is having with Sarah today captures the heart of the Rise and Flourish experience. You can almost feel the energy of the room, the connection that was happening behind the scenes, the deep exhale that everyone experienced, and the collective remembering of who we really are. So Danielle's sitting down with Sarah Gyampoh. She was a speaker at the summit. Sarah is a licensed social worker, a yoga instructor, and a devoted mom of 5 whose work blends the wisdom of yoga and mindfulness with practical inner work to help women feel calm, confident, and deeply connected throughout pregnancy and motherhood. This is Sarah's 3rd appearance on the podcast. So when you're done with this, if you want to go back and listen to Sarah's other 2 episodes, she was on December 4th, 2023, and her episode was called The Mindful Mother's Way. And then she was also on September 30th, 2024, and that episode is titled Mastering Calm in the Chaos. I love how Sarah's been on every single year since I started the show. And she is also author of The Mindful Mother's Way, an amazing book that I told everyone at the summit I keep on my nightstand all the time. Sarah has spent over a decade supporting hundreds of women who felt overwhelmed, unfulfilled, or just really unsure how to honor themselves in the midst of caring for everyone else. Does that sound familiar? I know it does for me. So her mission is simple but powerful: to help mothers move from stress and self-doubt into trust and peace so they can parent from a place of presence, not pressure. Let's dive into this heartfelt conversation from Rise and Flourish with Danielle Neufeld and Sarah Gyampoh.
Thanks so much for joining me.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
So you just finished your talk. How do you feel?
I feel amazing and also like a big exhale.
The exhale is needed, right?
Yes. Yes. Coming back into the body, right? I feel like while I was there, I was present and aware, but also in tune with whatever wanted to channel through me, because some of it was scripted that I had written down and some I read from my book, but the other parts I was like, just flow. So opening up to just receive what came through. Now it's like I'm re-embodying myself.
Yes, you're in that liminal space, if you will, right? Where there's like the optimal amount of preparedness that allows the universe to take you with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes.
What did the energy feel like in the room?
I think it was great. I was nervous because I was a second session right in a row. Sure. But I think because we moved before my session started, and then the session was very interactive, I think women were very engaged and excited. The energy felt like people were very present and with themselves and just happy to have time to think about themselves.
Isn't that what today is all about? Yeah. Just making that explicit space for ourselves and vulnerability and connection. You just led a session on developing your intuition, right? And trusting your true self. What inspired that work for you?
Motherhood took me on a huge detour to thinking I had to sacrifice myself in order to be a good mom. That what my likes, my desires, time for myself, thinking about myself, being present with myself, that none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was taking care of the children and the home and being a good partner and being a good business owner or employee, right? It was never self. And I learned the hard way because I had a major vertigo attack from not tending to myself that we have to. That is the foundation for every other part of our life to thrive and to feel good is we have to be present. Yes.
Absolutely. I think that's a pretty common story, kind of the losing of ourselves in motherhood, right? I can certainly relate to that. My kids are 8, 6, and 4.
Okay.
And it's only really in this past year that I think that I've really started to come back to myself. And that person that I was in my 20s is different, but I'm kind of remembering her more than ever, which feels good. You can see it in the kids too, right? They are like, oh, I've never seen that side of you, mommy. Or I didn't know you like that kind of music, for example, right? So it's a nice space to be. And I appreciate you welcoming us as moms to back there.
Yeah, it's vital, right? It's vital. Postpartum period is actually 6 years. So when your youngest is 6 is when you really come back in just brain-wise, hormonally, all of the things. And I've seen it because my youngest will be 7 in a few months. And I've seen, wow, I feel more like myself than I ever have. And it's also intentional, right? I put a lot of intention into tending to myself, but yeah, it's a journey, right? Motherhood is such a journey.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I've never heard that before, but I do know, like in the Waldorf approach, they talk about the 6-year transformation for the child and how that is the time of a lot of explosiveness in the brain, but particularly around moving from being externally motivated and kind of doing what other people are doing in the space or what someone tells you to actually having your own ideas of how you want to play. Like I see it in my daughter who's about to turn 6. This is the first time in her life, because she's our middle child. It's the first time in her life that she's been, wait one moment, mommy, let me just finish. And she's really engaged in what she's doing purposefully for herself. So it's interesting how those two intersect, if you will, kind of the motherhood transitioning after 6 years and the children transitioning to being more internally driven.
Right. Their awareness is changing. That's probably where it comes from, because Steiner was a genius, right? In that they are finding themselves. So that gives us more space to find ourselves.
Absolutely. What does rise and flourish mean for you in this phase of your life?
Honoring what's true and right and real for me, right? I think we've all been conditioned and programmed through friends, teachers, parents, media. And to rise and flourish, we have to come back in and see, is that true for me? Right? Is that true for me? So it means honoring myself, celebrating life, making sure I'm doing something that brings me joy every day, and just being present.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because I was going to ask you, how do you tap into that and make sure that you allow space in your day to honor yourself?
Well, I wake up before everyone else in my household and give myself that time.
It's like the golden rule of motherhood.
I know. It's so hard when your kids are little and you're not sleeping, but mine are a little bit older, so I have that ability to do it. And it's a non-negotiable for me. I tell my children, you don't want to be around me if I haven't had my time to myself in the morning. Yes. So that's it for me.
So that's when you kind of lay the groundwork, if you will, for the day.
Set the tone for the day. And then before bed, I kind of do a check-in every night. How was my day today? Where would I like to grow? What worked for me today? Did I honor myself? Did I have fun and laugh today? Right?
Yes.
We forget that joy is part of it. And our children will remind us at every turn if we pay attention to them, because they'll move through anger and then they're laughing and they're playing again, because it's so vital to our essence to have fun.
Absolutely. I mean, human beings were made to play. Playing is so important for learning. I was speaking with Jessica earlier about how play is so important for getting out of that very linear kind of problem solving mentality that so often, I think, as parents, we find ourselves in that position, that if we can take a step back and learn from our children around creative playfulness to solve a solution, perhaps when we're our backs are up against the wall, it can just really invite a new understanding of how to go about our day.
Learn more quickly if we're playful while learning. So repetition, right? They say is key. But if you play, it takes a lot less repetition to integrate a new thought or behavior, because we're magic, right? Because we are magic.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So when you first heard about Rise and Flourish, what made you decide to speak today?
Because I know Ryan and I know what she's all about and how she shows up in the world. I knew that she would call in a group of women who my message would resonate with them. And I feel like through sharing our stories, other women can give themselves permission to be human, because sometimes we forget how to do that in our effort to be, again, that good mom. We forget that we are still human and we will experience the full range of human emotion. And so I was like, I have a story that I can share. And even if one person walks away with a useful tool or tip or practice from what I've shared, I will feel good about that.
So what would you say to those moms out there that weren't able to join us this time? How would you describe the energy here, and how would you encourage them to come for the next event?
Yeah, I think there's so much love in this room. I don't know anyone. I know Ryan. I don't know anyone else in the room, but I feel really comfortable because when you connect heart to heart, human to human, everyone belongs. So I would say it's a room for any mom, any stage of motherhood. There are some women here who only have college-age children and women here with newborns. And I think what unites us is first and foremost that we're women, and second, that we're moms, and we're learning how those two roles, places, ways of being in the world can intersect and connect and dance with each other.
That's beautiful. I can say your energy is very warm and inviting.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I think that I'm not surprised that you feel it in the room right back.
Yeah. Thank you.
On a personal note, last question for you. What is your favorite self-care ritual these days?
I think going to dance class.
Ooh,
yes,
fun.
has become my favorite self-care ritual. I go 2 or 3 times a week. I've been going to Zouk class, which is Brazilian partner dance.
Okay.
Which is so fun. And it's really like sexy and embodied and feminine. And I think that sometimes in mothering, we lose that part of it because we have to set containers, and that's more of a masculine energy type of a practice. But if we remember we can get in our body and move and flow, that has been a great form of self-care and joy for me.
It speaks to play as well.
Exactly.
Kind of loosening up those boundaries.
And laughing at myself because I mess up the move 4,000 times before I get it right.
Very humbling in a good way.
Just like motherhood, right?
What a beautiful reminder that motherhood can be both sacred and simple, that our intuition, joy, and playfulness are not luxuries. They are the way home back to ourselves. If this conversation stirred something in you, that quiet nudge to create, to begin again, or to put your work out into the world, I want to invite you to check out my free 3-part miniseries called Do the Thing. It's all about finding your spark again and taking brave, joyful action one small step at a time. You can sign up at raisingwildhearts.com/do-the-thing or the link in the show description below. Until next time, go love someone well.